It's Shop Talk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, we keeps it real. All right, good afternoon, lovely people. Good afternoon. First, I would like to start by saying, let's not forget September 11th. So we'll take a moment of silence. I don't want to say real fast, but just a few moments. All right, that was for remembering 9/11 and not forgetting it. It's everywhere in the news. Anytime you turn the television on and just stepping outside, everywhere, it's there. And if you thought you were going to forget, we as Americans were not going to allow that. So I'm not in the studio today, so let's have some fun with this. If you guys are watching, I am in a hotel. I'm enjoying my time. I'm one of those people. You know, my birthday week. I don't celebrate for the whole month, but some of my family members beg to differ. But yes, this is my weekend. So my birthday was on Wednesday. Yay, Mel. And I'm kicking it for the weekend. I'm just trying to relax a little bit. That's what my plan is. So today's show, I wasn't going to do one earlier in the day, at the regular time, the Saturday to 10 to 12 in the morning, because I was just going to chill for my birthday. However, I'm on. I call myself chilling, but now I'm back on. So let's get this party started. My birthday was wonderful, just to let you lovely people know. Birthday was absolutely wonderful. I had a great day. I am the person. Now let's get this out here. I am the person who will not work on their birthday. Now I did, have some jobs that accommodated everyone on their birthday. They allowed you to be off on your birthday, which was kind of cool to me, because some jobs don't allow you to be off. Now, if I work for you, trust and believe, I am definitely taking that day off, okay? I'm taking that day off, because that's what I do. Not the whole month. I'm not going to celebrate. Well, I probably am. Celebrate the whole month, but I'm not working on my birthday, so good luck with that. I tell them when I first go in. If I go into a job, I'm like, here you are. They were like, do you have any vacations planned? Yes, September the 8th. That's my planned vacation if I have one, or if I don't have any others. September 8th is definitely included in that. Anyway, let me hurry up and get going. Today's show is becoming absolute. And what I mean by becoming absolute is being truthful, being honest. And I wanted to have this show wanted to do this show. I felt that it was important. That's one. And I think people need to be honest, especially with the whole cancel culture type thing. You have certain people or certain groups of people who can be honest now, and now other groups can't be honest because they don't want to hurt the feelings of the other groups that decide they want to be honest. Is that really fair? And usually when you are not truly honest or saying how you truly feel, it's because you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. So, I want to introduce my lovely guest today. It is the lovely Amber. You got to unmute yourself, darling.
Oops, sorry.
Hey, there you go. Unmute yourself. Yay. Amber, I'm glad I chose Amber. I handpicked Amber. Like, hey, what are you doing? I need you on the show because this is an honesty show. An honesty show. And it's like, why is that? Why does it seem like, people can, some groups of people can express how they feel now, and they felt like they couldn't. I don't know why they felt like they ever, they couldn't. Probably because they weren't going to be accepted or thought. It was their interpretation of how other people, their perception of how other people would respond to what they deemed not acceptable. I'll put it that way. You think, is that all right? Is that a good explanation? Or a good description? Or a good description of what's happening?
I think some people are genuinely discriminated against based on certain things. But I feel like, and even in other cultures, people are still discriminated against for like their religious beliefs or their sexual orientation. But in America, modern day America right now, I feel like sometimes it's a stretch or it's very covert.
Okay.
It's very covert discrimination. But it's not very overt. It's not overt discrimination.
Okay. And you use the word, whichever word you choose to use on this lovely Saturday. Discrimination. Why is it discrimination? Why is it considered discrimination instead of I just don't like that? And it's okay for me not to like something.
Right, exactly. So I think discrimination, excuse my dog, is when you're impacting, like your life or your income or like your ability to do something, like you're not receiving opportunities. But if it's not impacting you, then it's not actually a problem. I mean, because people are allowed to not like things. So I think when it gets into like income and employment and education, that's when it becomes discrimination.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
Okay. I want to put this out here. I can't wait till you can come into the studio when this is all over and you have a great time. We have a good time.
Okay.
We're doing Zoom due to the COVID. I do want to say, I'm going to put these numbers out there because that's what I do anyway. 6,800 people were tested positive for COVID. I don't know what it is now because it's the weekend, but on Friday in a 24-hour period. So due to COVID, we are still using Zoom to give you lovely people to show and some excitement on your Saturday. Go ahead.
Okay, so is it 6,800 in Youngstown?
No, the state of Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Even like, oh gosh, we got problems, right? In the state of Ohio, and even though we're listened to worldwide, and I'm so grateful. Thank you guys for listening to Shop Talk with Mel because I get to see where you all listen from. We are based out of Ohio. So that's where those statistics are. And you can go to your state statistics, or even like the CDC actually has it as well. And they'll allow you to see where you are in your community. Let me do this. And we're talking about keeping it 100. So we're going to keep it 100 throughout the entire show. I do want to put this out here. The thoughts and views of the guest on Shop Talk with Mel, which is Amber today, and myself, are not the views of the entire team or the affiliates or the people or the advertisers of Shop Talk with Mel. All right, but y'all know I'm just gonna keep it 100. So I really need to put that disclaimer out there for me. All right, so today is becoming absolute 100. Y'all probably know, for my drinkers out there, y'all probably looking at absolute vodka. It's 100%. For me, the non-drinker, I'm just keeping it 100. One mic, that's all I need. You know what I'm saying? So speaking of that, with the COVID, Howard Stern, a lot of people know Howard Stern, radio guy. He has an issue, and he voiced his concern with people not being vaccinated. So we still have that out there. And some people disagree and some people agree. I just think that why are people upset? And I was listening to The View as well yesterday, and Joy Behar actually stated something that really kind of annoyed me. And I'm going to tell you why it annoyed me. It annoyed me. She does TV. That's lovely. But if you're going to talk about something, and I know that they get cue cards so they know what their topics are about, unlike Shop Talk with Mel, because it's straight from the cuff. So Amber has no idea. That's why I love her. So it's definitely honesty, okay? And also my co-hosts, they don't know. When we come in it's like a list of stuff, and it's like, okay, Mel, here you go. You know what I mean? And it's just go. However, I do have an advantage where I'm able, if I don't know anything, I'll tell you guys. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, hey, what is this? And I'll ask you, what's your opinion? Because that's what this show is all about, being you and voicing your opinion. Okay, so that's what it is. But on The View, which, that's like a reputable talk show, I listen to it. Listen, they know, but they can, like, I'm like, you can.
I wouldn't call it reputable.
And you wouldn't call it reputable? I think that's one of the ones that you would, like, pay attention to. I mean, and then, everybody has their air quotes I'm using for the listening audience. They have their view, but I would think you would do some type of homework. So let me just get this out here. What Joy actually said was, I don't understand why there's an issue with the immunizations. People got, they have to have immunizations to go to school. Talking about everyone. Not true. There was another young lady that was over there, and she spoke. She said, no, that's not true. So that was a teachable moment. And it's not true. Howard Stern, he gave his view and opinion on, everybody, I don't understand. I want to live my life. Why is it that people don't want to be immunized? There you go. And it was a lot of people with kickback. They just don't want to put that in their body. They just don't want to do it. And some people have reasons and some people don't, but freedom of choice. So there's a lot of kickback in Congress about that mandation that President Biden put out there. But my thing is, when he mentioned that, and it's like, everyone needs to get this vaccine. Now, here's my thoughts, and then I want yours, and then we can move on to the next one, because we being open and honest. A vaccine for a virus, when you had the virus, you already have antibodies. Now, to my understanding, it may have changed. The stats may have changed. Some vaccines, they just kind of grouped them together. 64% coverage. The actual virus, the antibodies last, is an 88% chance that you won't get it. Now, these stats, I forgot where I got them from, but I did get them. So my thing is, let's take for example, the chicken pox. You get the chicken pox when you're a little child, and then you grow up and be like, oh, I don't have to worry about getting chicken pox again. But there are some people who have had chicken pox a second time around. So now they didn't offer, I'm dating myself, they didn't offer the varicella for our generation. Mine here. They didn't have it around during that time. But if somebody had the chicken pox, oh, so-and-so got the chicken pox, go over to their house, let them get it out while they're a child, and then they're good. You know what I mean? You go sleep in the same bed and blah, 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 blah. So that's the chicken pox. So we build up, when you get the chicken pox, you build up your own antibodies, just as they were testing. When I tested positive for COVID back in December, they drew my blood to check me for antibodies. So why is it that other people are projecting why I need to get a vaccine? And this is, you guys don't know if I got it or not, but to get, or forcing a vaccine on people who actually were positive already. So, and the people in the medical field, talk to me, tell me, what's your thoughts on that? You know what I mean? What do you think about the trajectory of the vaccine being on people? That other people, like Howard Stern, that's who we were talking about, putting on other people saying everybody needs to be vaccinated. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not in the medical field. I don't know. But to me, when they're saying that the vaccine is more effective than your own natural antibodies, that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. It don't make none to me either.
You already have the antibodies. And they're saying, okay, well, we don't know how long your natural antibodies will last. But we also don't know how long the vaccine is going to last.
True.
So it's just like, yeah.
True.
Honestly, it seems like a money grab.
I love your honesty. That's what it's all about. I love your honesty. And one of the people on the View, and it might have been Joy as well, that said, what about seatbelts? Now, I was with her with the seatbelt. Seatbelt was a law. It was mandated. We all have to wear our seatbelts for safety. But nothing is being injected. It's like, here you go.
Right.
And you're penalized if you get caught without your seatbelt.
Also, driving is a privilege, not a right.
Okay.
People
Tell
say
it.
that.
Tell it to the people. Look, I'm like, tell it to the people.
It's a privilege. You are privileged to be able to drive a vehicle. You don't have a right to drive.
Very different. Very different.
Very,
Yes.
very different. But you have a right to your own body.
Not according to Texas.
Woo! Woo! Yes.
Now, let me catch you lovely people up on the law in Texas. They passed, who was that? That's the governor. I can't even think of his name. I didn't even care to know his name. They passed the law where abortions are illegal.
After 6 weeks or something.
After 6 weeks. But here's the thing, though. And
You
this
don't
is what...
even know who's pregnant at 6 weeks.
That's what I was going to say, because...
Period. I said, oh, they just saying you can't have an abortion, period.
And that's why I said that. That's exactly why I said that, because here's the thing. 6 weeks, how do you know you are positively pregnant? Fetal heart rate. The fetal heartbeat. That's how you know. And that's me as a nurse letting you know, working in the OB clinic. You know, that's how you know positively that you are pregnant. Matter of fact, if you go to the Ohio Board of Nursing, you take that state board exam, it's going to be on it. That's it. So after the heart rate, I see it. That's when you know definitively that you are pregnant. So you're stuck. Now you have different people, they're conversing on that, going back and forth and debating. But they passed the law. So it was said, I don't know from who, so don't ask me. I don't know anybody personally, let's put it that way. But according to social media and the news outlets, it was said that the fight is brown and black people would be the ones that's mostly affected. Because if it's a white person, they can get it done either way. Brown and black people may not be able to afford to leave their state to go and get something done, i.e. coming back, doing what they did back in the day before it was legalized. You're talking hangers, I don't even know if they're going to take the morning after pill off, and that doesn't work half the time. You have people, Humphreys, who used to be the pill, they used to take way back in the day, to self-abort, causing more harm to self.
Right. Well, from what I understand, the morning after pill is not an abortion. There's the abortion pill and the morning after pill. The morning after pill will stop pregnancy if it hasn't already occurred. Like, it'll stop it in its track. But if it's already stopped, it's already started, it's too late. And then I completely agree with that. And I think I don't think it's just brown and black folks. I think it's also poor and middle class white folks too. They're really limiting it to upper class, wealthy, elite women are going to be allowed to have abortions, basically. I feel like the nuts and bolts of it is what it's going to come down to.
And it makes me wonder, honestly, I don't think, this is just my thought, I don't think the multitude, let me say that, I don't think the multitude of pregnant women are just saying, okay, I want to be pregnant, or I want to just have sex freely and go get an abortion. It may be, which was the fight before, someone may have been raped. Somebody may have been...
Which is not included, from what I understand. Incest and rape, they're still not approved.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, how do you have a child and you want me to love this child and you want me to bring productive citizens into society, but I don't know if I was raped and became pregnant that I would be okay, that I would be a productive citizen in the society, knowing I have to raise and nourish a child that I didn't even want. I didn't consent to the whole act, and now I have a child and responsibility that I did not want.
And I'm pro-life, but as you're sure you've heard it before, like if you're going to be pro-life, you need to be pro-life. You need to support welfare programs, adoption, orphanages, food, because at the end of the day, these are children that are unwanted. Let's keep it 100. And so there's these people that are quote unquote pro-life. They're actually pro-birth. They just want the child to be born, and after that, then it's okay for a society to discard them, not provide them, not to take care of these unwanted children. Like, if you're going to be pro-life, be all the way pro-life, because essentially you're saying, bring this child into the world that the mama and the daddy don't want, okay, and then, just toss them to the curb. They're going to have to be raised up probably by the state through their whole life.
And that's hard.
That's a lot of money too.
And yeah, it is a lot of money. And even thinking, even with that being said, so let's say if it was you were pregnant by cousin Bobby. I know. I don't know. Sorry, Bob. I know a few. Sorry, Bobs. I'm just using your name as an example. But if you're pregnant by someone or you're raped, you're already, one parent. You're down a parent.
Right.
So it's like, okay. And this scumbag, do you really want this scumbag in your presence? Do you want this scumbag, a rapist, out on the street? Y'all got R. Kelly locked up.
After how much time and back and forth, and no, that's a hot mess. But I think that I guess I'm just gonna be real savage with it. But it's like there's certain people where it's like, do you even want them to procreate? Should they even continue to have a lineage? Do you want their offspring on this earth? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it better to smite them, to smite their bloodline and end it and cut it off? So, and I have a whole lot of feelings, particularly regarding Black women in childbirth, and just like given men, maybe they're not, the spawn of Satan, but these men that aren't qualified and undeserving of lineage. And you just passing your womb out, giving your womb out, putting yourself at risk, okay, decreasing your own desirability on the dating market, for a man that he's not qualified. Children are a blessing, but it's like they don't deserve that blessing, or they're not ready for that blessing. But you're just out here just spitting them out.
Yeah, and it hurts.
You're hurting yourself.
Yes.
You're hurting yourself, and you're hurting your kids. You're not giving your kids the best option.
And that is true. That is true. And speaking of that, I was having a conversation where we were talking about dating. And, for a male to date is very different for a female to date. So we were going back and forth about this. And I said, listen, and he was like, and I just gave it to him. Being 100, being absolute. I said, honestly, as a female being out in the dating circuit, we off top, we look at the guy and say, I hope he's not the killer. So, and so, wait. I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you elaborate. So he looked at me. He was like, what? I said, I don't know one female that when that guy, even a guy to approach a female, we already gave you the once over. And when we get the vibe, that's what we're looking for. That vibe, like, oh, did he look weird? Like, I just said it. I hope he's not the killer. Now, here's my number. I didn't get those vibes. I say in a millisecond, that's our thought. I hope I make it after this date, before it's even set. So go ahead.
Yep. Yes. So, as someone very knowledgeable and intelligent said that a man's biggest fear in dating is to be rejected. A woman's greatest fear in dating is to end up dead.
There you go.
Okay?
See?
We have different stakes. It is much higher stakes in dating for a woman than for a man. And that's just reality.
Truly is. See, that intelligent person just co-signed for me, whoever it was. Because it's the truth. I mean, you be sitting there and it doesn't matter where it's like just coming up like, oh boy, they came into my space. That thought is in there.
Okay. Well, okay, I want to add something. So it's very frustrating when men are frustrated that women can be defensive or guarded. When, especially as a black woman, especially when you see all these viral videos and stuff, a woman is liable to get hit or a bottle thrown at her for rejecting a man. Like a dude's just catcalling you and you're like, nah, or you just don't even acknowledge their presence. That man is liable to physically harm you for rejecting them, for declining their advances. And that's the real deal. That's real talk that's going on right now. And that's how, that's how some males carry themselves.
Isn't that something? And then upset that you don't want to date them. If you're doing this already.
Woo, right.
I know.
It'll be in a public setting. And it's like, okay, so where are these quote unquote good men to intervene? But then somehow it's still the woman's fault for being guarded and defensive and skittish acting, because that's how a lot of these males around here carry themselves.
True. And in defense of the men that don't intervene, they've probably have intervened prior and the woman defended the guy. You know what I mean? It's just like, what do you do?
It's backwards. It's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. But and definitely there's women that contribute. I mean, honestly, I'm all for supporting victims of domestic violence and women who are struggling or whatever. But the reality is that woman doesn't need help until she's willing to accept it, and only she knows when she's done.
No, that's true. That's true. Don't pull me in your mess.
Right. When she's ready to be done, then we should all help that woman in that situation. But if she ain't ready, she gonna go back. She gonna go right back to that.
Yeah, that's when you have to stop being that listening ear. Mm. And again, be absolute. Be honest. When they call you for advice, and it's so funny when people call you for advice or say, "What's your thoughts?" Well, you already made up your decision. You're just looking for a cosigner. I can't co-sign shenanigans. Right. Excuse me. And if I don't believe in it, I'm not going to co-sign. Let's put this out here right now. If you have an issue with becoming absolute or being honest, because usually people lie to protect someone else's feelings, and that's usually it, honestly. That's usually it. Or you're walking on eggshells. And if you're in a relationship, and not just a romantic relationship, but if you are in a relationship, friendship, anything, where you feel as though that you have to walk on eggshells, I'm just telling you, that is not the relationship for you. Because both of you should be able to say exactly what's on your mind. If somebody asks a question, I tell them, when they ask me a question, I'm like, do you really want to know? Like, don't just ask for the sake of conversation. Because if you can't handle what I'm going to give you, you can't ask me a question and expect me to give you the answer that you want, because you didn't give me the script. If you gave me the script, I'll read what you want me to read. I won't agree with it, but I'll be like, okay, we're acting today. Action. You know what I mean? But you can't expect.
And you know what? I totally agree. And sometimes, so I like to say, I support you in whatever you do, or do whatever you feel is best. Those are great neutral answers.
Are they honest answers?
It's honest. Yes, as honest as we got. Because if you don't want to have an argument with your friend, just say whatever you think is best. I support you. Whatever you decide to do. That's a good way to keep things neutral. And then also, sometimes people just need someone to vent to. So then don't think, and then you need to remove yourself mentally from the conversation and just be like, I'm just like a wall, basically. Like, don't absorb what they're giving you. They just need to let something out. Like, you just, and I know I've read about this where women will go and vent to their partner, and their partner is trying to get solutions. And they're like, I don't need your solutions. I have my own brain. I just want to talk to you. about this problem. I don't need you to solve my problems. I just want to talk. I just need someone to talk to about them.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. But in that situation, they need to be absolute. Say what it is. Be like, listen, I'm venting. I don't want your 2 cents. I'm venting right now. I don't want you to solve the problem. I'm venting. And then move forward. Now, me, I'll ask that question. I actually ask, are you venting or do you want my advice? So don't say, hey, what do you think about if you're just venting? Now, so that has to be clear and uncut. Being absolute, if you are that person that have issues and are a liar, a habitual liar, let me just help you out here. What you have to do, because I never ever give you a problem without a solution. Be straightforward. Be upfront. That was a prime example. Be upfront, okay? Reflect. Reflect on a thing to see exactly where it's coming from. You know what I mean? And if you feel like you're about to lie and somebody asks you, hey, do I look good in this dress? And men are good at that for that question. Before the lie. Do I look good in this dress? If a guy says no, he already know, oh my gosh, we really gonna be late. We was 30 minutes, now it's a whole hour, now I gotta tell her why. Well, why'd you let me wear this before? If you didn't like it, blah, 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 blah. See where it's coming from, reflect, and just stop. And to me, the best answer, if you feel as though that you are getting ready to lie and you don't want to lie, because see, it's time, you still got a little bit of time to stop lying. You could just be honest. Ask them, be like, do you want me to be honest? And let them know up front. Be direct and up front. I don't want a song and dance. Do you want the answer? Or tell them it's a 1-word answer. Be like, that's a 1-word answer, right? So I mean, I don't need an open-ended answer. Right. That's not an open-ended question, is it? So you have to, don't exaggerate, don't embellish anything, just let it be. Because we know as humans, we are competitive. And if you hang around, so you got to stop hanging around other liars. Because if you're hanging around liars and their stories seem better than yours and you a liar, you about to embellish some stuff. Just stop. Okay, stop again, reflect and be like, okay, what is this that I'm trying to do? Be truthful with yourself. Be like, you know what, I'm a big liar. I be lying. You got to just tell yourself. Or tell somebody if you know you about to tell a lie. Clear your mind and be like, you know what? I'm about to lie. Now, when you didn't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, somebody told me this a while ago, years ago. I asked a question that was like, girl, it's 3 p.m. I'll be lying all day. And stop. You know what I mean? And I loved her for it, but I was like, what? She was like, or if it was 10 o'clock, be like, don't get me to lying because I'll be lying all day. I still got the rest of the day. So they knew that they were a liar. Now, if you have a real issue, you need to seek treatment. If you have a problem with just not accepting yourself, because that's what it is, honestly. Not accepting yourself and being content with yourself. You can be content with yourself as long as you have breath. That means educate yourself. Do what it is that you're trying to do. Sharpen your iron. Okay, what is it? The scriptures, iron sharpens iron. If you don't have somebody else to sharpen iron with, if they a liar, leave them alone. Sharpen your iron. Okay, and then elevate from there. Go ahead. What did you want to say?
I was gonna say that. Well, I forgot now.
I'm sorry. I had to tell the people how to not be a liar.
Oh, I remember. I was gonna say, like, when you were doing the example of, like, do I look good in this dress? And when you said okay, then ask them, okay, do you want me to tell the truth? The other person, the woman in the dress, needs to be like honest, like, well, I just need, I'm feeling a little insecure, and I just need you to firm me up a little bit. Give me a little confidence boost.
But it might not be a confidence boost.
You look good in the dress. You ain't gotta ask somebody, do I look? I know I look good in the dress. So you asking, do I look good? You have to have enough self-awareness to say, okay, I'm feeling a little insecure today. Maybe I'm a little bloated. You know what I'm saying? What have you? That's okay. You know what I'm saying? But be honest with your partner that, you know what I'm saying, you're just, not feeling 100 in that moment.
Okay. And that's what you have to do. Or don't ask. Because you're right. If you know you look good, if you know you look good, child, do your thing.
You ain't asking nobody you look good. You know you look good.
Okay, let's go to the comment. What about if a child that gets sick, they're asking questions that can't be answered because they don't know the history of a man who raped you? Okay, this is on the rape case. What would be your advice to a child that you're with, you decide to give birth to, because, or if you live in Texas and you're stuck? How would you answer that question? Would you be absolute?
So, no, I would not. There are books. This is a whole field of study, and I'm not going to talk about I'm not that familiar.
No, it's opinion. This is opinion.
I do know for a fact that there's books, there are specialists that specialize in children of rape. So, it's a whole field. And so I would encourage that person to dig into that. That's not some kind of unknown. That's a very well researched, well documented area of how to handle that conversation and what that child is going to need to become a productive, well balanced, citizen.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you for that question. That question was out of South Carolina. Okay. In situations as such, depending on the age of the child, and if they're asking that question, they know something. They're more intelligent. I would say I would set up a counseling appointment because you don't know which direction it's going to go. And I say, once we get to this appointment, I'll give you all the information you need and let a mediator, a child psychologist, to be honest with you. Exactly. Talk to the child. Now, my own suggestion for the parent, even before giving birth, I would suggest that parent seek counseling, even carrying that child. You know what I mean? And talking to a counselor. Then that way they can have that relationship, kind of resolved a little bit like, okay, I'm dealing with this. And I don't know, but just my thoughts. I think it would be really hard to explain something that you can't even understand yourself. And be like, oh, well, the government made me. And then the child may feel like the child is not wanted. Right. And that's why that thought is there. Go ahead.
I was thinking you were saying something you can't explain, not as far as the government made me keep.
No, I'm just adding extra. I'm going to add extra. I'm going to add extra.
But I would say it would be hard to explain to someone something you don't understand, like what would possess you to rape someone.
Oh.
You can't even.
But guess what?
It's out of your understanding.
It's totally out of the mother's understanding because only the rapist can answer that question.
Or people who are rapists. I mean, and there's
that's what I'm saying.
Field of study. That's a whole thing, and it has about power, domination, control, all that thing. It has nothing to do with sex or love or anything like that.
No, but as a child, to explain it to a child,
exactly.
I would, if it were me. Yeah, if it were me, I would have had to go to counseling anyway. Since I'm living in a state that is telling me what I'm allowed to do, I would have to go to counseling, and hopefully the state is paying for it. Okay? And then when the child is of age and they start asking those questions, you got to have the sex talk and tell them the real deal of love. So you got to have that conversation. Be like, okay, we have that, and then we're going to go to this appointment, and then I'll let you know about your dad. I don't know who your dad is. And they'd be like, oh, well, let's go on Maury. He'll tell us. I'll be like, well, here's the situation. I don't know the person. And then explain to them in their way and let the counselor, that they're the professionals, explain the situation and go from there. And
you know that most sexual assault occurs by an intimate partner or somebody that the woman or man knows. It's usually not a stranger.
Okay, and in my mind, I'm going with the stranger. I have a friend who was raped. and she kept the baby. Strong woman. I still don't know, did she ever tell her child that? And I won't disclose the sex of the baby, because then you could be like, check. But it's like, you look at this baby, and maybe they knew the person, you know what I mean? But you're looking at this child every day, reminded of that night. Air quotes to the listening audience. Hey, if you want in on this conversation, please feel free to do so. You can actually text, and I won't disclose your name if you put on there, you just put your phone number. I'm definitely not going to give your phone number. The phone number here is 619-902-2287. 619-902-2287. And I know my lovely people are probably like, what happened this morning? I told you guys it was my birthday, and I wasn't going to do a show. And then with 9/11 and everywhere you looked, it was everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh. Not that I was tired of seeing it. The problem was, it was just depressing. And I am a person who believes in controlling the energy around you. And it was like when you turned the television on every station, we remember what happened in 9/11. For those of you who don't know, that's when we were attacked. The World Trade Center, which America was attacked, and which started the Afghanistan war that we just finished, like a week ago? The August the 31st, to be exact. We had to be up out of the country. So I definitely wanted to let you lovely people know that, if you didn't know. And some of the little people, when I say little people, my younger generation, they actually don't know. They were like born into war. They were actually born in, and it's like, and over 3,000, no, close to 3,000 people were killed on 9/11. So that's what we are remembering. Okay, lovely people? There you go. Class dismissed. No. I like to keep people informed. That's like everything. That's everything. I want to talk about this, especially on my platform. I want to talk about this, speaking of platforms. It was an Amazon driver that he was fired. And I can't remember where he was at, because I got so much on my mind, I didn't take all of that in. But here's the point. He was an Amazon driver. The patron, the customer, was upset by the way and where the Amazon truck was parked. So he called the Amazon driver the N-word. He called Amazon corporate. He called corporate, and he was a project manager. There you go. He was a project manager. So he calls directly to complain, but he's calling him the N-word, but he doesn't disclaim that information. And everything was caught on that little ring, on your doorbell.
Yes.
And so that's what they used. However, the Amazon driver's sister was, like yours truly, an influencer. She had a platform. And she too had a podcast. So she did investigation. She investigated it. He left out the derogatory words. That Amazon driver did not go off on him. He just left. But that guy was complaining about the way that he delivered the pack. Actually, it was the parking. That was the main thing. My thoughts were, interesting enough that you would just fire someone based off of what a customer said. They since rehired him. But that stress,
right,
it was undeserving. And it's like, all this could have been eliminated. You didn't ask me what happened. You just went off that, but this occurred. So the project, and guess what? The end result to that, you guys can look it up yourself, because I'm not going to stay long on it. The project manager got the young man fired, since rehired. The influencer, the sister, the one that was talking about it, and thank you to lovely listeners out there. I'm telling you, you guys are everything. And the viewers. That young lady put the entire thing out there. The project manager was relieved of his duties. Talk about backfire. But why should she have had to even do that? Are we really just going off the word of one person?
Yes.
And
that's what they do.
And that's a problem for me because I feel like I work for you and one person can just pick up the phone and say blah, 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 and it's over with this whole cancer culture type thing. This thing is just getting on my nerves. That's why I tell my lovely people, hear me well, especially young people, stop putting where you work on social media. That makes that's an easy way out for them. They're like, oh, they work here, boom, we'll boycott this company. And trust and believe they want their company. And that's what it boils down to. We want our company, and you mean absolutely nothing. Now, on the other end, with that young man being terminated from one phone call, it's so sad, especially being that it's an employee's market right now. It's just really sad that you have to go through that. But I tell people constantly, if you don't trust me to be an employee, I don't want to work here. I don't want to work here. Do the investigation the proper way and then, see if I'm wrong. But just to go off of what somebody else said, that's just not okay. If you ask me if I miss one day of work and you ask me for a doctor's excuse, that means you don't trust me because I know 3 consecutive report offs requires a doctor's excuse. Okay? So read the fine line, make sure that's in your policy. But most policies, it says 3 consecutive days a doctor's excuse is required. But you're allowed to report off sick. You're allowed to report off sick. So if you don't trust me enough, if I say I'm sick, tell me that I go to the doctor, most people don't go. Okay? I don't want to work for you. You don't trust me to help you with your dream. I have to remember, this is their dream. This is their vision, not mine. So guess what? I'm easily replaced. Just like if you die, your job is posted that same day. Mm-hmm. And if they really care about you, they might send flowers to the funeral home, but most don't. So know your position and play it well and play it to your advantage. Don't you find yourself hurt, then you can't do nothing for nobody else. You know what I mean? You on workers' comp, so don't kill yourself. That's what I say. Do not kill yourself for somebody else's dream. Make sure you're focusing on yours. All right, you got anything else to say on that one?
I would say make sure you have a dream.
Listen.
2 focus on. Wow.
I pray you have a dream. I pray you have a dream. Honestly, I do. All right, let's talk about what's going on with the drug overdoses.
The fentanyl?
It's out of control. Being laced with fentanyl. So you on it. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. On Monday, Michael Williams, that was the guy that played Omar on The Wire. He was found in his apartment in Brooklyn. Drug overdose. Don't know all the ins and outs because I don't know what he was on and I don't know if fentanyl was in there. However, fentanyl must be the thing because 2 Chainz had a birthday party. I think he turns 44 on tomorrow. I think so. Anyway, he had a party. And his party, the thing was no fent. He had a no fent party. No fentanyl party. Now, like I said, I don't do drugs. I'm still under the Nancy Reagan campaign. Just say no to drugs and alcohol. Just say no. Remember that? Just say no. I'm still rocking with that, okay? However, those who don't say no, it is so important. And I'm just going to put this out here for those who are using because I keeps it 100. Don't meet somebody at the club and be like, hey, I got this, and then you trying that. Go to your regular dealer. You know what I'm saying? Go to somebody that you know. This whole lace thing it's too much. And fentanyl, that's what they use to tranquilize elephants. Mm-hmm. In case y'all didn't know, I'm going to tell you. That's what they use to tranquilize elephants. So you ain't got a chance. And I know that some places are putting, Lord, what is it called? You sprayed up your nose now. What do we get to people? I can't even... Huh?
The stuff.
I can't think of it right now. Brain fart. But now they're doing it they're having it in hotels. And they're training the hotel staff to administer Narcan. There you go. Thank you, Lord. Narcan.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, is there like Narcan? Is that used for like a crack overdose too?
Crack doesn't. You can't counteract crack, and even like people that do withdrawals, it's not for crack. And that's something. It's very interesting, isn't it? And I don't know if it's because it's rocked up. That's why, like back in the day, you used to get 10 years per crack rock. But if you had cocaine, raw cocaine, you were fine. You changed the consistency of it, and now it's like, so I don't know, whatever they put into it, they charge it. But it was, and this was back in the 90s, 10 years per rock. That's why you had people like 40 and 50 years doing time. You'd be like, what? They went to jail in the 90s, they still in there?
Right. I mean, that was discrimination. It was, judicial discrimination. I mean, because like, how is crack worse than cocaine? Cocaine is for rich people. Crack is for the poor folks. So
there you go.
Yeah, it's a mess. Like I totally agree with you. I'm just like, just say no.
Just say.
I don't think they should be training these people. Like, why are we putting so much paying for this Narcan? Who's paying for that? Who's paying for all this Narcan?
Right. And then they have, listen to this, before, with the drugs, now they have people who are caught with drugs, they want to rehabilitate them instead of throwing them in jail like they did with crack. Remember that?
Exactly. So this is seeming very, very racially motivated. Sorry.
No, don't say sorry. This is real. Yeah. Keep it at 100.
Yeah. It's racially motivated because the way the crack epidemic was handled that greatly impacted the black community is being, I mean, they're like getting slaps on the wrist, and taxpayers are supposed to be paying for this Narcan, and we need to have it in public. No, just let them OD. Sorry.
And you know what?
What happened?
Now, interesting that you should say that, because I do feel some type of way, especially when they're not charging them with a felony anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But you want us to save their lives. So you have somebody like you or I on the EMT team and on the ambulance to save this person's life from drugs that they chose. We never used drugs. We died from saving them, and you say no felony? Because that's what's happening now with this whole, with the drugs now. In September, I want to say 2019 or 2018, let me tell you. A mother died. Her son had OD'd. He vomited. She cleaned up the vomit. She died because she inhaled it. So yeah. This is for real. And I felt like, no, it needs to be a felony. Why not? This is killing other people. Just as like this COVID being airborne. This stuff is real. Like crack cocaine, you had to smoke it.
Right.
They smoked it. Like, it didn't harm me. But with the drugs that they're using now, it could potentially harm others who did not make a decision to do that. I made a decision to save your life. Yeah. And then you want me to go and just go to rehab. Well, we already know for the last, 5 years, there has been no beds because it's so many people that are on drugs. So many people that are on drugs now that it's like, and died from drug overdoses. Back in 2019, it was like, don't quote me on this number, but I think it was 841. I be remembering certain numbers. 841,000 people who, since 1999, who have died from a drug overdose. Now watch this. As of last year, 2020, 93,000 have died from a drug overdose. So for 20 years, altogether collectively, 841,000. But in 2020, 93,000 of that 841 have died from a drug overdose. Sad, isn't it? I want to put this number out there for somebody who may have an issue with drugs, because I can't just leave you guys in limbo. The phone number for the help hotline is 1-800-662-4357. 1-800-662-4357. If you know someone, I'm going to post it up on the website, and at the bottom, of this video, and I'll say it again for the listening audience, 1-800-662-4357. Yes, they have to want to be clean. And they're saying that there's not enough beds, and it hasn't, like I said, for the last 10 years, because I had some members of recovery centers on the show at different times, and the problem was there wasn't enough beds. Now, in 2020, there's enough beds. Let me tell you why. The door is like one of those old Strausses. I'm saying Strausses. I don't know. Look, some people might know what it is and some may not. The revolving doors. Remember you used to push through the old doors? Those revolving doors, it is like that. It is like that. And last year, I can say, to see every time that there was a stimulus check coming, people checked themselves out. Mm-hmm. And then they would come back in for readmission after they got there, whatever it was, $1,200, whatever it was. And it was like, somehow they heard, so they would come there and they would leave before the 30 days. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do? So let's just keep those people that are on drugs in prayer. There are some states predicted from last year it will go up 40%.
From the stimulus checks?
No, from, the drug issue.
Oh.
The stimulus checks, people was getting out, spending it and then coming back. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. That's how those beds were available, because people weren't finishing the treatment. They would just walk out and leave. And even before then, and I did notice the age range, 18 to 25. The age, there's more that's older, of course, but that's where they see the bulk of the people. How interesting is that? From that age range being addicted to drugs.
Well, I feel like back in the, the 80s, it was the same thing of people addicted to crack. It was very young people.
Was it? See, I thought they were older. I was younger.
Well, I think they were.
You say, and you talk about the 80s. Cigarettes at our age at the school was like, oh my, that was taboo. Like to be there, you sit there, you're like, oh, they smoke. Oh, you know what I mean? You saw adults smoking, but not kids.
A gateway drug.
The gateway drug, marijuana. And I think they have made it so normal, air quotes I'm using again, accepted, that it's like it's nothing. But it's when they start lacing it with other things. That's where the issue is. Some of those states that predicted the 40% rise on deaths from drug overdose: Arkansas, Virginia, California, Vermont, Louisiana. Oh, I know. Oh, poor Louisiana, especially they just got hit with Ida. Hurricane Ida. Those are not all of them. Those are some that predicted that it was going to increase. The deaths were going to increase. Now, looking at that age, what's your thoughts on that? From that age group, where do you think that stemmed from? From a lack of coping, or I'm just curious.
It's like drug culture, the one rapper that died recently from a drug overdose, where he sings lucid dreams, and all of his music was about drugs. Future, all his music was about drugs. Lil Wayne, it's very much normalized and made it seem socially acceptable to be on drugs and to use drugs, and just drug culture and all the things around drugs and drug paraphernalia.
So they're glamorizing this behavior.
Right, exactly. They're glamorizing it, and I feel like it's not. I truly believe there's nothing new under the sun.
Oh. So
it's not, they just have such a more difficult, hard time. Every generation has a hard time. With some kind of difficulty. You're never going to get out of difficulties in life. So it's just that it's, our overall society just makes it seem like it's okay.
Interesting. I had a conversation with a young man. They were going to move on to the other topic. I had interesting conversation with a young man who was addicted. And I had to look at it from his standpoint. This was a Caucasian young man. Because y'all know that's what I do. I got to talk to the people. And he told me he was 18 years old, about to be 19. And I said, what caused you to go to drugs? And he said something so profound. He said to me that his mother introduced him to drugs. And he said, this is how. He said he was in school and they forced medication on him. The Ritalin, the Adderall, all those, as a child. Because he couldn't sit still. And he couldn't stay focused. So he was on it all the way up. When he graduated, he was done because he needed it for school purposes. But what happens when they graduate? That young man was used to a medication that suppressed him so much that he was used to feeling a certain way, that once they just let him loose, when you turn 18, okay, boom, you're just done. No doctors, no nothing. Go live life. How can you live life when you were used to living it this way for you to maintain? And then once you're out of your mother's care, you're out there and it's like, oh, okay. And he said, and he tried it, and his drug of choice, I'm not going to put it out there because I don't want anybody else finding that drug of choice on my behalf. Okay. Right. But he said, and he found it where he's able to maintain. But that's how he got addicted. And he said, my mother introduced me to drugs in first grade. So what do we do? How do we help in that situation? How do we help them? Like, because that was a great point. I was like, whoa, yes. Once you guys graduate,
you're supposed to be getting weaned off of it. You know, there's a way that you get weaned off of prescription medication. And I also don't know how severe it was. Were there other alternatives tried? Was there home therapies tried? Or, or organic things? Or I know that someone, I won't name, their child was having issues and they want to put them on, Ritalin or Adderall or whatever. And she started giving him some oil.
Okay.
Pill. And then they changed the diet and his behavior improved.
Okay.
Like cut the sugars. And then started, what was it? It was some oil. I think fish oil. That she started giving her child fish oil.
Okay.
Pills.
So she actually went the extra step instead of here, okay, you're in school, there you go. Let's go to the comments. Thank you for letting me know, Jimmy. He said Narcan. Remember when we couldn't think of it? I was like, what the heck? Yeah, so thank you, Jimmy. Shout out to you. Sean said, when it comes to drugs, people lose self-control, which is very important in all aspects. And I agree with that, statement. But yours was everything. We're glamorizing it. Like, this is it. Just like the flower people. Remember the flower people? They had like mushrooms and all that other stuff way back in the day.
Oh, right. Yes, the hippies. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
The hippies. Yeah. So you had that, but that's what 2 Chainz. I think that I was looking at some of the photos, and their photos were like the hippies. It was like the flower people. Everything is grand, and they had allegedly, according to TMZ, they didn't have fentanyl included, but they did. Other drugs were at his party. They were present.
Well, and I know there's a big argument that like marijuana is natural and mushrooms are natural. And I mean, how many people have like overdosed on marijuana or like died from shrooms? Like I don't know.
A whole lot.
So, a whole lot.
A whole lot because it had fentanyl in it.
Oh right, no, right, yeah, not if it's laced, but just regular. But that's really what I think it is, and it goes back to also, letting the TV, letting social media raise your kids.
That'll definitely do it. That'll definitely cause an issue when you let your children, the television raise your children. Especially
right,
with...
let your kids get close to anything and everything.
Exactly. We got to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. And my guest today is Amber. And we are back. Gotta love the Zoom. You'll be like, I don't hear nothing. I don't hear what's going on. We got you covered. We definitely got you covered. Let's go on to the whole lottery. Let me tell y'all the story first. Nuts. This is nuts. This is in Rome, not in the States. There was a winner of the lottery ticket. I want to say it was $500,000. Well, they went to go cash your ticket in. Well, guess what happened? The store cashed the ticket and didn't give them any money. How about that? What's your thoughts on that, Amber?
They got played. I thought you were supposed to. I thought you were supposed to go to the commission. You don't cash your ticket in at a store. You call the commission.
Well, and see, I don't know how they do it in Rome, but I think the store, the actual store, because the store actually, I thought, to my understanding, they win money too. I think they're the ones that called, and the person of the winning ticket didn't, and that's why it's important to sign the back of those tickets. To sign the back of those tickets, and they say that you have you got up to 9 months to claim, to claim the ticket. 9 months to claim it, so it was already claimed when they decided to claim it. How crazy is that?
Man, that's like one of those ironic life lessons or something. I don't know if they have a leg to stand on legally and in another country, but if they can sue, I would sue.
That's what's interesting to me. How do you say, hey, that was my ticket versus the store? So if you work at the store, you'd be like, oh, this was a winning ticket here. It came from here. There you go. And it's your word against theirs, and you, get out of here. That's nuts. I was like, this is absolutely crazy. I want to give you the information for the state of Ohio. If you win the lottery, $599 or less, you can actually go to that store. To the retail where you bought it from. 50 to 5,000, they actually accept online. You can go online. I don't know if I'll be going online though, me personally. And if you win greater than 5,000, you have to mail it in. Now, how do you get a copy and be like, let me get my copy just in case?
Right.
Interesting.
Or maybe mail certified mail.
Oh, there you go. Certified. There you go. Yeah. I guess you could use it that way. Certified mail. Because I'm nervous. Look, I'm like, I'd be like super duper nervous. Like, I don't know. I don't trust you.
I'm driving there myself. I'm like, where's this going? I'm just going to get in the car and go.
Let me drive on up to Columbus. Okay.
Right.
And turn my ticket in. Now, legally, they're able to say who the winner is. Do you want people knowing if you win, like the Mega Millions?
Well, you can decline. If you don't want them to announce who the winner is, I think you have to come in person, but you're allowed to cover your face.
Okay.
So to remain anonymous or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. I would be like, I don't know if I would want to be. I'm not calling nobody. If you hit,
you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of one rapper who got his multi-million-dollar stone ripped out of his forehead. I'm like, what? That was going to happen? Yeah, what's his name? He's a rapper. And he had, I just like $10 million, $23 million diamond implanted.
Oh, implanted in his forehead.
In his forehead. And then he had it for a few months. And they got ripped out.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I'm like, come on now. You
Look.
should have known that was going to happen.
Right. Hey, Amber, look at your phone real quick.
Okay.
You got it by you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you wouldn't put yourself out there for everybody to know?
No, not at all. I wouldn't even tell my family. Nope. Sure wouldn't. I would keep that to myself. You know, I would hire a financial advisor, and then I would, you know, put some in savings. I would invest a portion of it. I would tithe a portion of it, and then I would spend the rest. But, you know, you're not obligated to tell nobody about your finances. It's like when you're a little kid and they're like, yo, your grandma gave you $1. Like, don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell nobody you got $1. That's what that is. It still applies even in adulthood. So I think that you should keep your finances to yourself, especially as an adult. But that's just me.
That's a good thing. Look, I'm like that. That's a good thing. The financial advisor, honestly, I don't know if I would trust a financial advisor.
You know what? That's what a lot. Well, I mean, you need to educate yourself, because a lot of people end up getting got by trusting people with their money. And people come from more like a poor background or whatever, and instead of taking the time to learn how to handle large sums of money, they just go blindly trust somebody and get got. All right. You can do both at the same time. You can be learning about how to handle large sums of money responsibly, and then also be getting assistance at the same time.
Okay, let's go to the comment. Sean Talley said, "Oh, Little Uzi."
Oh, okay.
24 million. I love my listeners. I love y'all. Thank you. Keep us together. Keep us together.
Right.
Lil Uzi. I'm not gambling. I do sometimes though. When I feel real lucky. Okay. I'll be like, oh, I'm feeling real lucky. Let me go ahead. And then of course I don't win. I told you guys several weeks ago, I finally decided to join in a raffle. And it was a parent-teacher conference raffle. Listen, it was amazing. It was amazing because, listen, I love it all. I was like, oh, I got a better chance of winning because I never win. It was 3 parents that came to the parent-teacher conference. So my chances of winning was real good.
Right.
There was 3 parents. Come on. Oh, yeah, I could do this. Put me in the raffle. You automatically got a ticket for coming. Okay. And you could buy tickets. I spent $20 on tickets and still lost.
You got overly confident.
Yes, I did. I was like, oh, this is good. You know, put it all on black. You know, up here lost. I see it now. This don't make no sense. This ain't my ministry. So, but if it were me, if I decided to play, I would do like an auto lotto type thing. But I wouldn't I'm not telling nobody. I'm just sitting quiet because I need to let it sink in. And then, like, you know, you'd be like, oh gosh, I won. What am I going to do? You know, what is it that I wanted to buy? What is it? You know what I mean? Those type thoughts come through your mind. Well, most people's mind. Some people just go and just buy crazy and then they broke.
Yep. And then they're buying, depreciating assets. They're not even buying stuff that's going to appreciate in value.
Right. Absolutely. Like buying a car. It depreciates as soon as you turn it off the lot.
Exactly. Right.
Stop.
Unless you're getting a vintage or, vintage car or, a collectible. Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't understand. Look, I don't understand. Like, I still don't understand when some people, I don't understand how some people have businesses and they can only get $5,000 for people that didn't have businesses. I'm talking about the PPU. didn't have businesses, got their $20,000, and then when you look at them, they got a car. But here's the interesting thing: it was $20,000. You go get a car, you pay the down payment to make payments. I wanted to like, huh? So if you know you have to pay it back, and they gave it to you, and you lucked out and lied, like they wasn't absolute, okay, and you lucked out and got it. Wouldn't you want something that you can look at and be like, oh, yeah, that was an investment versus a vehicle? I've seen so many 30-day tags. I don't see them now. Matter of fact, I don't even see their cars. They talking about they need a ride. Or they got it like, they didn't take the $20,000 and get a new car.
Right.
They got a used car that, like, I should have been able to go buy a used car with $20,000. Just here you go and drive it off the lot and it's mine. And I'll pay for the repairs. It's like, hello? You know, what were you thinking? So I'm going to...
I think there's a lot, and I think it's not just with adults, it's parents too. It's just a society as a whole. There are so many people who are like extremely financially illiterate. Like, I really don't like to believe that people like be intentionally that stupid. Like, they really genuinely don't know, you know, like genuinely for real, they don't know no better.
So how do we teach our children? And at what age do you think that it's a good time to sit down at the table with them?
I think it's never too early. I think you can start teaching your kids about money when they start learning how to count. Teach them how to count money. How to count coins and stuff, even though we really don't even use coins no more. You know? Like, we really don't. But even then, like, teaching your kids how to budget, giving them an allowance, you know what I'm saying? And having them learn those mistakes, because we all make financial mistakes, but have them learn that mistake early and with a very small amount of money. Okay? Like,
very small. Look, start small.
Very small amount of money. And then, you know, about investing versus saving. And then so it could be like, oh, see, you spent your $3 on that toy and then it broke 2 minutes later. Womp womp.
Yeah, you teach them that early.
Right, and it happens. And, you know, it's one of those things, like, I know, like, in the Montessori method, like, they believe in using, like, glass dishes and ceramic dishes in the classroom. Because then it teaches kids that sometimes, you know, first of all, you have to treat things carefully with care. And then if you drop it, it's not plastic. It's not just going to bounce off the ground. It's going to break. And when something is broke, you can't undo it. You can't, it's done. It's finished. You know, there's a finality to breaking a dish, you know? And that's a whole thing. It's a whole concept that is good to learn. Because I do feel personally, because my kid, you know, we use dishes. And he's always used dishes. And it's like, no, you will learn very quickly after you break something that it's broken, you can't fix it, it's over and done with, and next time you need to be much more careful. Because when you have glass, you have to be careful. So I feel like it's the same with money. You know, you don't have to give them a large amount. You don't have to get expensive glasses. You can get some dollar store glasses, but it's actually good to expose your child to that so they understand, hey, you can't throw it on the ground or drop it or knock it off the table, and that's okay. That's not okay because it'll break. Okay. You know.
Yeah, and they learn how to subtract. 8 plates up, you broke that one, -1. Now we're down to 7 plates.
Right, exactly.
So we really need to be careful because we about to not be eating. We'll put it on, you know.
Yeah.
I
mean, if nothing else, go ahead.
I believe in eating out of dishes, especially on the holidays. I do. I haven't been anywhere where I've never been invited over to someone's house, and there were no dishes. Now, for the 4th of July picnic style, you have your paper plates, but it's usually in like that wicker container, like thing that you put the plates in to help you, because it's sturdy. But and I haven't seen these are styrofoam plates. I haven't seen paper plates since the early 80s though, with the little pleats on the side. Do they still sell those?
I think they do. I usually see, like you said, styrofoam.
Okay.
I see styrofoam usually, and but yeah, most of the time when it's a large gathering, it's not. It's like the plastic containers, like to-go containers type thing. But there's definitely, and like if you're around other cultures and people, other cultures will comment on how casual Americans are, like in our dress and our appearance, and we really moved away from any kind of formality in so many areas of life, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing.
I don't think it's a good thing at all. I think that is the problem. That is the problem. When I wore, rest in peace, Marquette, I wore her wig. A good friend of mine passed away not long ago. And she had a blue wig that she wore for her birthday. I was like, oh my gosh, she's an attorney too. And I was like, you gonna wear blue? She was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear it. And you look kind of like conservative all the time. And it was a cute blue wig. Anyway, so I wore it on my birthday, which was on Wednesday. And I did like a little photo shoot, which was so much fun in the selfie store. And it's the selfie studio. And I wore the blue wig. When I walked in the mall, no one paid me any attention. And I knew I had this blue wig. And I was like, had this been 10 years ago, everybody would have been like, it's not Halloween. Wonder where Cherie's going. It was so normalized. So different is normalized now. People wanted to be different and they dress different for attention. And that's why I'm putting this out here. That now it's different is so normalized that you're not getting attention.
I was going to say that being different is so normalized that dressing conservatively or modestly makes you different.
And that's the same thing. I just did it the opposite way. And it was like, I'm thinking I could have just walked on there and they'd be looking at me like, oh. You know what I mean? And even, I believe, in certain, everybody just went back to school this year, full time. But like in 2018 and 19, I was shocked when I walked into the school building because I couldn't tell the teachers from the students. And I'm being 100. Like, you just gonna wear these leggings with a little shirt and you talk about you the English teacher. Stop. Yeah, I put it out there and people know who I'm talking about. Stop. And you want respect. You want respect from the students and you're dealing with teenagers. You're high school. Right. You're not going to get that respect. You're going to get attention from the little boys that got the boner sitting in class and you tell them to come up front and they don't want to get up. They be like, no, you call on them to come to the chalkboard. I remember those days. When it's like, why'd you get up? Then they tell you, I was like, oh man, that's jacked up. You know what I mean? But it's like, give me a break. What do you want? And then if you're communicating, because there was a difference. If you're communicating the same as they are, where's the difference if they see you here, if they see you balanced and you're the same? Yeah. What sets you aside? Even, when you're going for a job interview, you got a business or in your business plan, the number one question is what makes you different from the others? You know what I mean? Even like it's a million and people that know, on 4 stations. I was on 94.7, 1500, 1330. All these stations. But now with the podcast, and I had a podcast a long time ago too, before they became popular. But with the competition in podcasting, what makes you different? That's what you have to ask yourself. So for those of you who want a podcast or who want to do something and it's, the competition is heavy, what sets you aside? What do you offer? So when they ask you, what can you offer? They're asking you, what sets you aside from the others? What sets you, what sets you aside? How are you a standout from the others? And my answer is always the same. I'm me. You never find another male. You can get another person to fill my spot, but I bet you miss me. That's it. You know, they could copy, duplicate, do whatever they want to do, but you just won't be me. Because, you know, you hear the different things, and that's what a lot of people do for those who do want to get into radio. A lot of people listen to other shows. They try to see what it is. They try to grab it. You'll have people that's going to ask you, what's your format? Guess what? Mine is different because I don't have one. Figure it out. You're like, dang, she was doing this goes this way. What do we do? I don't have one. I just shop talk. All right, you know what I mean? So you just have to find your niche and key in on that. But honestly, I'm for real about edutainment. I have to give the people something to take with them. Now, when you're talking about money and mismanagement of monies from adults and parents, I believe that 110%, but let me tell you how I live my life. And I'll share with you just how I stay happy. I am rich. The end. That's how. So it's mind over matter. You know what I mean? In my mind, I'm rich. So where we going? Up, I'll be right there. Boom, I count on my little pennies up. I'm living like I'm rich, honey. I'm going to live like I'm rich. I'm going to love like I'm rich. And I am going to definitely laugh like I'm rich. And that's what I do. And I take everything at face value and allow people to be who they are. You cannot tell somebody how to be. You can't tell somebody how to answer. You can't expect them to answer your way because they are not you. So just allow people to be who they are, accept them for who they are, and then guess what? You won't be upset. Now, if you invested in somebody, then you might be upset, but you got to remember, you were attracted to them for a reason. And it wasn't because they were like you.
Wow. So speaking of that, I think it's interesting to find some money, but I was going to say, since you brought that up, like, I don't know if anyone's ever had an experience where you're attracted to where you're dealing with someone who you feel like is emotionally unavailable. And so, well, why are you attracted? Especially if you keep attracting people that are emotionally unavailable. And allegedly, it says, according to the Google articles, that, you're attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable because part of you or you yourself are also emotionally unavailable.
I was going to say that.
Like attracts like, and it's easier to fixate on what they're not doing instead of focusing on yourself and what you're not doing in the areas that you need to work on.
Until somebody is absolute and they tell you. I had somebody tell me. It's the truth. Somebody told me. They said, hey, Mel, here, you're available. You want people available when you want them available, but you're not available. I said, I guess you're right. It was a quick self-reflection. I just looked, I was like, I evaluated myself real fast. I was like, yeah, you're right. And I owned it. It's the truth. It's the truth. And it's interesting when you go to being in a relationship, we're so upfront that we want other people to be upfront with us, and they find that as being, or they term that as being a strong black woman. And they look at it as a negative. Oh, you're independent. You're this. I was like, me knowing what I want is not a negative. And thank you for noticing that I'm a strong black woman because I voiced my opinion. I'm just saving time. That's all I did. I just saved time. This is what I like. This is my non-negotiables. And this is how I operate. And this is how I respond. I made it easy. I'm like, we're older. And I got time to be trying to figure people out.
Right.
And what they decide yes or no. But the problem is, instead of them saying, I'm not capable or I'm not going to do that, because there are some guys that are capable, but I'm not going to do that, or I'm not able to do that, or my confidence level is low, and then they want to be like, woe is me. Here we go with that. I am unemotional. I am emotionally unavailable for the town crier. I am. Click, bye, phone ring, you going straight to voicemail. I don't have time for you to be crying on my shoulder. I don't. I need you to have your life. They like, oh, you're not supporting me. No, I'm not here to listen to you cry all day because that stuff is taxing. Again, like I was saying with 9/11, everywhere woe is me and all this stuff, sadness, you're about to throw that on me and I don't need that sprinkled on me.
Right.
I need you to build me up. I'll build you up. I need you to build me up. Now, let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to pour into you and keep building you up and you're not giving back. Bye, deuces. I built you up for her. Guess what, girl? You got to. He already built. Go on, take him. That's it.
I would say, so I do have a thing about being labeled as a strong black woman. I don't like that. I think it's very problematic in that what is in the best interest of black women. And then also, I would say that if someone, like, you have your communication style, and there's multiple communication styles, and just because someone has a different communication style from you doesn't make it inherently bad. And so I try to keep things as neutral as possible, so it's not accusatory language. But yeah, I think that some people, like, if you read into, gosh, I was having some kind of issue, and it's like, why? I had Googled, like, why are some people, like, why do people lie, or like, why do people be like evasive or vague, and it really is from within them. You know, it's an issue within them that they're struggling with. Has a lot to do with like anxieties and fears and et cetera, sometimes deceit, manipulation. But there's like the reason why some people, and also like their upbringing, you know what I'm saying, their childhood and what kind of environment they were raised in. A lot of our language is developed in early childhood. So if a child is in an environment where their voice is suppressed, or they have to do certain things to get their way or to receive attention, that's going to impact them well into their adult life.
True.
And so if they're like, it's not something that can't be undone, but it's just like, maybe you should like try to find someone who's more compatible with you, who has a more similar communication style with you, because that's a big hurdle to overcome in a romantic relationship.
I agree.
It was very interesting.
Let's go to the comments. Ava said, "Rich is a mindset." Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, I would say instead of rich, I like to say I'm blessed. You know, I'm blessed.
Oh, definitely.
And just like, you got to have an attitude of gratitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be worse. You know, even when it's hard, even when you're going through a difficulty, it really, really, really can be worse. And I have learned a technique where you try to say 5 things you're grateful for every morning. Like,
yes.
I'm grateful to wake up.
Yes.
I'm grateful that I'm in my right mind for the most part. I'm grateful, you know, like, there's basic things, like, there's always something to be grateful for.
Oh, definitely. Definitely it is. What you were saying as far as, like, the way you were brought up, it does matter. And I'm grateful for the parents that I had, honestly, because I was able to say exactly what I wanted, how I felt. I was told by my mother, she'd be like, that's not nice. She always be like, that's not nice. And I guess it wasn't, but what I learned to do is don't volunteer information, because I've always been boisterous. Don't volunteer information. If they ask, then tell them. Now, I learned that in my teens, and I believe that was like a pact that me and my mom had. Like, okay, I won't say nothing. It's not right. You know what I mean? The whole 9. Then that didn't work. But you know what, though? Let me say this. It worked a little bit. It works better now. But I will say this. People will call me when they have a opinion, or when they have something that they want to know the truth about. So they call me for the truth. And I think that I'm going to tell them the truth. And I don't mean it just, I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm just telling you my opinion. You called, you asked for it. I will give it to you. And you don't have to take it as law. And there's a lot of people who feel as though that, you got to have a degree in this. You have to have a degree in that. Listen, I'm degreed. However, I will get information from someone who does not have a degree, because you had life experience.
Yeah.
I.e., as I tie this back into the COVID vaccine, You got the live and the bodies. Okay? I don't need nobody that read no book. Okay, I gotta go. I don't need nobody that read no book, and this is what the book says. You done experienced it. You done went through it. Trust and believe. You got the live virus. You got all the live information. You lived it. I know it's factual. Just like if you want to be rich, you're gonna take advice from somebody rich. Now, will I take advice from somebody who was rich? Understand the word WAS. Absolutely. So I make sure that I don't take them same steps to be where you are now and losing it all. That's why I was talking about the whole investor. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like you said, you got to watch, you know? It's like, oh, I remember that. So I will learn from somebody else's mistakes.
As we all should.
Yes. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I won't be doing that. Every day, every moment of each day is a teachable moment and a time to learn something. So even like with you, I'm learning so much. I'm not studying you to get in your head and swipe you, of all your information. I'm like, swipe me, no swipey. And there's those people. But I'm like, you have to give and release. Give and release. And that's how since we talk about money, that's how your bank account stays active. Okay? That's how it stays active. You can't just sit it there and be like, okay, well, I got all this. I'm just going to sit it right here. Okay, you getting interest. It's taking a long time. However, go ahead.
I wanted to shout out on YouTube, his channel, I think he's Sikh, is called Minority Report.
Okay.
And he teaches people about money management. And he explains why savings accounts are a scam and a waste of money. So I check out Minority Report on YouTube. Yes, check that guy out. He's very knowledgeable.
Why savings account is a scam. My kind of guy. My kind of guy. Let me tell you, there was my boss, white woman, and we were talking. I'm the only black face in the place in management. And somebody's grandchild passed away, and they were selling spaghetti dinners. And I thought that was different because I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm having this side conversation with my boss who we're cool with. And I said, they didn't have insurance? Now, that was really interesting to me. She was like, no. And she said it like it was a surprise. And at that moment, let me tell you what I learned. We, as black people, we get insurance because we prepare for the worst. So we're putting that money there. I noticed with her and her crew, and I'm not going to say all Caucasians, but I'll say her crew, they prepare for the future. And I was looking at that and I said to myself, self, let me see where this came from. Is this cultural? Like we're so used to, oh gosh, we don't have insurance. We get ready to be selling chicken dinners. You know what I mean? To raise this money. And it's frowned upon in our community. You know, like, oh, you don't have insurance. They're doing a GoFundMe. But they're preparing for that baby. Guess what that baby had? A college fund.
Exactly.
Preparing for the future. The baby passed. So no, we're not going to use this college fund to put this money in here. We're not going to be sitting there playing for funeral arrangements. So that's how when I got that, I said it makes sense and it saves a whole lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. Like we could put our money, we can hold on to our money. Does it have to be in a savings account? It doesn't have to be in a savings account. It can be in your account. Because I'm truly believing in that, especially with Hurricane Katrina that happened. What happened to everybody's money? Come on, man. And then you said, you were talking about like we don't even use money anymore. Those of us who use money. Hurricane Ida, pay attention, people. No electric. How can you swipe your card if they didn't have electric? So you was just SOL.
Right. Well, I mean, that's getting into like prepping and bringing prepared, and I feel like that's something that's very lacking in the black community, and being self-sufficient, urban gardening, it's a whole slew of issues, I do think you're making a great point about preparing for the worst instead of preparing for the future. And I was told by one of my teachers in high school that insurance for young people is pretty much a waste of money. You know, when you get older is when you really want to start paying into insurance. And it's not like, well, if you don't start insurance when you're 18, you're not going to be able to get insurance when you're 40. No, like you can start having insurance whenever you want to.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that.
See, so she pretty much was saying the same thing that my boss was saying. You know, it's like, you prepare for the future. You know, put your kids in good schools where they can be educated properly. And that does not mean that public schools aren't good schools. Listen, their future. Educated properly. If they don't have books, that's a problem. Ask that. Challenge your instructors of your children.
You know what? I think that, first of all, stop putting so much expectation on schools. If you feel like your child's school is lacking in some way, then you need to fill in that lack at home. If you feel like your school don't have a lot of books, you should have books at home.
Now here's where my thing is with that. I could not help it when my child was in school. I couldn't help with the homework because I didn't have anything to go by. That was mine. I was like, no ditto sheet, nothing, you know? So it's like, what are we doing? That's why it is important to go to parent-teacher conference because I was there.
That's right.
What are we learning? Because see, here's the thing. If you're not giving homework, how are you grading my child on homework? Because that's a percentage. If I need to know exactly how are they doing bad. And it was one teacher I had a problem with because my child said that they didn't like her. But I needed to know, how are you tracking this? There was a paper that she did that I know was an A. Not because she just mine. I know for a fact it was an A. How she got a C and then you showed all the corrections. Now I want to meet with you and now at parent-teacher conference and then you missing? Oh, she must have left early. During my appointment? Why? Why is this wrong? And our measure is in the same thing. Show me why this is wrong and I'm okay. Because I reviewed everything. And then you're giving a mark. And to me, I just feel like the principal or whoever it was, because I had to have a meeting, where is it? You don't have any of the homework? You don't have any of the assignments? And then that principal challenged her, well, where's this person's assignment? You don't have it, you're just marking grades? That's a problem. Are you pushing my child? I need to know where their weak point is. I got the strongs. I need to know where the weak point is so that I can assist before they get out into the real world.
Right.
That's why I think it's really important. And I think it's important to, like I said, you can get a great education because I am a public school scholar. Okay. And by no means am I idiotic. Now I might sit there and laugh and have a good time and let you think I am and then laugh at you for thinking that I am. But we need to know. So invest. You got to invest in your children's future. You must.
Yes. And I wanted to add on to what you were saying. What I picked up from that is you need to have a dialogue with your kids' teachers. You need to have communication. I think most teachers have good intentions and have good hearts or whatever, but it makes it so much easier and so much more effective and productive when you're in communication with your child's teacher.
Now that's good, but there has to be a cutoff though, Amber.
What?
And when I say the cutoff, these are my office hours, like Big Red on 5 Heartbeats. My office hours are from, because honestly, no job, and they'll have my phone number. I will not respond deliberately on my personal time if a job is calling me. So, with teachers, that's why I said kudos to them. I think teachers and police officers need to get higher pay because they're doing a whole lot. They're doing a whole lot, okay? And they are the future. Our children, like, what are we going to do? Let me help you stay on the right path, But I feel like, don't call me when I'm off, and I won't call an instructor. That's why parent-teacher conference is important. They have those, what's those little books they send home now? Those little papers, with the folders, communication logs. Yay, but nah, I'll see you at the parent-teacher conference. I got my own log at the house. And what is a turnoff, honestly, is in the communication log, it is what's wrong and not what's right. That was my experience. It was what was wrong and not what was right. You know what I mean? And sometimes, again, me being the person and a lot of other people are the same way, you control the energy around you. I used to have on my answer machine, if this message is bad news or to borrow money, please call, hang up and call someone else. That was on my answer machine, on my home phone. No lie. Matter of fact, I could play today's studio. I never moved it. Never removed. Anything else, go right ahead. But if you're going to constantly, if you know this is going to be bad news, no. And usually the parent chastises the child for not acting right in school, and then they go to school and we chastise the way that we were brought up chastising, and then there's something wrong. You can't say that to your child. You can't do this, and now you got more issues. And I think that's why a lot of parents just like, ugh. Now, I will tell you what was funny. There was a parent that, this is back when I was working in the schools as a school nurse. I called the parent one time, and the parent didn't want to get their child. The parent said, I work from home. I can't come get them. Now, I just looked at the phone. Did you hear me? The parent couldn't come get the sick child because she worked from home. I think that's ideal. Wouldn't you think that?
Well, I mean, I would say, and I don't know if you're going to get into it, but the issue with the city bus garage going on right now, I've had many phone calls with parents saying that they don't have transportation, so the child's not going to school. And it's just like, okay, that's very unfortunate, but then it's also like, but you know, you're a parent, right? And at the end of the day, because many years ago, there were no school buses.
Right, you walked. And you walked your children to school.
And if you want your child, you know, it's that having that hunger. You know, do you have a hunger for knowledge? Do you have a thirst for knowledge? And are you going to support your child in pursuing knowledge? But, you know, this is an entitlement generation. So I had co-parents get an attitude with me like it's my fault the buses ain't running. And, I don't have a car. That's your fault you ain't got a car. How you going to be grown and be a parent and just be like, I just don't have a car. And it's just...
It's supposed to be okay. It's supposed to be okay. Right.
And that's supposed to be okay. That's supposed to be okay. So your kids missing, time in the classroom, missing education, and it's like, well, I ain't got a car. Maybe you need to work on getting a car, maybe. I mean, come on now.
Right. And then you have little people watching them. So there will be no incentive to do anything. You know, you're just following along. The interesting thing, when that woman said she works from home, she said, I'm at work. And then she said, I work from home. It clicked in my head. Oh, so we are really not a educational service for your child. We are the babysitter.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I got in that. And I said, man, that's why teachers need to get paid more. I'm telling you, because you have parents who clearly she couldn't do her job if her child was home. And you want us to do what? You know, I'm like, I'm not even in the classroom, but you want us to do what? Like, you just told me that you can't even work when your child is home. That's what you told me. But you expect the teacher to do what? You don't care. You don't, because it's a babysitting service in some case. And that's unfortunate. I want to give a shout out to Beyonce and Jay-Z. They teamed up with Tiffany & Company, the jewelry store.
Okay.
They teamed up with them to give $2 million in scholarships to 5 HBCUs.
That's wonderful.
I thought that was wonderful too. Now I'll get the glitch in there. Let me tell you the schools first. Central State was one in Ohio.
Nice.
Yeah.
My parents are graduates.
Yes. And then there's others, but I'm more focused on Ohio. In Central State, it's right there, yay! But I thought it was kind of cool to donate, to donate to the HBCUs. So I'm grateful for anything. Now you have the trollers, I'm gonna call them trollers, that feel like we are not satisfied with anything. They're like, all the money they have, they had to partner up with a company to donate. Talk about Tiffany & Company.
Oh.
Yeah, so they partnered, Beyonce and Jay-Z partnered with Tiffany & Company for, $2 million for HBCUs to donate scholarships for them. Now, I don't know if it was just $2 million and they separated, but I don't even care. I'm excited about it. Now, the trollers on the internet feel like, that's it? $2 million is like $20 to us compared to them with $2 million. Right. So they feel as though they should have gave more. I'm happy. They didn't have to give anything at all. So I'm grateful that they actually gave. So that's where I was at. I want to say this, and this is not to get you guys all worked up, but I thought it was really weird. Trump, 45. He proposed a boxing match for today. 9/11, the 20th anniversary. And he said he'll box Biden. I said, man, come on.
Okay, they're talking about Biden having an early onset, early dementia. I think something's wrong with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? It's so, and it was always like this when he was a candidate and throughout his entire presidency and now his post-presidency. He is so crass and tasteless and tacky and uncouth. It's just, people died. There's lots of people who are still suffering, still missing their loved ones that passed away on 9/11. And it's so tasteless.
Almost 3,000 U.S. citizens died.
Exactly. And then it's like, of course, if it's a boxing match, that sounds like a money grab to me. That's a way to make more money.
Yes.
Probably because he's probably end up in the feds. They're coming after him. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get his lawyer money up. But yeah, just so tasteless.
It's always about him.
Yes. Classic narcissist.
Right. Oh yeah, textbook. They were talking about back to the All Lives Matter thing with the Black Lives Matter. That thing. Back and forth. And I can't remember what I was watching, but I thought it was really interesting because I said, you have those who say all lives matter. They're not really invested. And my question, and the reason I say that is, I wish I was on there, but I did put it down in the comments on YouTube. Without looking, name 3 people that were killed unarmed by police officers. Right off the top. Now, if you have to Google it, you're not invested. Because it doesn't affect you. So that's why all lives matter. It doesn't affect you. It affects the people. Let Black Lives Matter be Black Lives Matter. And like I said before, there would be no need for Black Lives Matter if all lives truly mattered. And so I put down, I said, just name 3 that lost their lives to police officers being unarmed. And some people commented under it, actually a lot of people. And they couldn't come up with, some of them, they had one, George Floyd. It made national news. That's because it interrupted the TV programs, you know what I'm saying? But it was just really interesting because, you hear these names, and there's a lot of us that probably can't name 3, but everybody know the Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice. You have a lot, and it goes on, and the list, they have a list on the internet that's like 299. They had 299 people listed, but I just want to give you lovely people the stats. From 2019 to 2020, 999 black people, unarmed black people were killed by, at the hands of the police. 2020 to now, 1,021. But we know those popular names that, to come out, Breonna Taylor, the ones that are out here in our face. But that's a lot of people. And I'm like, Can y'all just zip it? Like, don't say nothing. That's just don't say nothing if you don't.
I guess my thing would be, how many non-black people, unarmed black people, are killed by the police as a comparison?
Yeah, that would be. I didn't look that up, so I don't know because I ain't invested.
Well, substantially, I would think that percentage
it would be lower.
A lot lower.
I'm sure. I'm gonna check that out though, since you brought it up. But my focus is where I'm invested in my people.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I'm invested in social justice. And I was looking at how back when I was in elementary school was a big thing. I was in the 3rd grade, and I refused to sing the national anthem. We used to have to stand up and sing it. I refused to sing it. And I remember having this black teacher, and she was like, "You need to sing. Why aren't you singing?" I said, "Because I don't believe it." Took me down to the principal's office. I'm in elementary school. Principal, white guy. She's like trying to browbeat me into believing it. And the principal, he asked the question. He's the one that asked. He was like, "Well, why won't you sing it?" I said, "Because I don't believe it." He said, "What don't you believe?" "We're not free." And I was little. We're not treated equal. I was young. You know what I mean? And now with the mandation that you have, like, I don't care about a mask. I'll wear a mask all day long, but you want me to inject something into my body. And so I'm with the other people like, hold up a minute. No. Mm-hmm. So is the national anthem going to change? Because it's not the land of the free when you're telling people what they need to do with their bodies.
Well, it's so interesting that you brought that up, because the song we now know is the national anthem. It's like clipped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We know. Don't go to the second version. Child.
Okay. Right. Exactly. I mean, and then even with July 4th, like, should we be celebrating July 4th, or should we, be celebrating Juneteenth? Because we weren't free on July 4th. Mm-hmm. We didn't have no liberation at that point.
It was just we're just accustomed to tradition.
Exactly. And so that's when we're getting into critical race theory. Mm-hmm. And that's, honestly, that's them trying to erase their own history. Let's call a thing a thing.
Yeah.
If we're going to be honest, then we need to talk about the way things were in this nation and the timeline, and not sugarcoat stuff or try to make it seem like it wasn't exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I want to go on to this this next topic that will be quite interesting. So let's be clear and honest. Men take verbal abuse from women more than women from men. Now, I have seen over and over where, the people argue about their men. They're not the greatest husband. They blah, 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 and this and that, and they have children. And now you're putting in toxicity into your child's Kool-Aid because you're talking negatively about that parent. And the father, usually, I don't know any personally fathers that spit back. They're letting the female spit about how terrible of a husband they are and blah, 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 blah. And these are my people that are not physically abusive. Okay. And they still protect that mother. But if they don't, they're frowned upon. Why do you think that is? Like a mother, she don't have to protect the father, and she's poisoning the children, so the children are taking mom's side all day long, and they're all looking at their dad as the mean guy and the worst of the worst, when that father could actually tell those children what that mother did or what she was about. And I'm going to give you an example so you guys can kind of grasp it if you don't know. Let's say the mother had a child and she didn't know who the father was. And the father found out about you at age 5, 4, whatever. And that child is speaking bad about you, the dad, saying, "Oh, he doesn't help out. He doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't blah, 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 blah." And the dad got a whole family, too, even though you just came into the family. But the dad never said that so-and-so was actually your father the first 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. So the father has a whole different family.
Yes.
That's why.
Right. And
okay. So it sounds like to me 2 morally bankrupt people procreated. They're both wrong and trifling and dirty. And
dang! But even if he didn't know, so the father gets.
Not if he had a wife and he knocked up his mistress.
No. He didn't find out about the child until he got married. So the child was 4 years old. So it's a new. weren't together during this time. It was somebody else was the father.
Well, that's her fault. I mean, I'd air her out. I'm, my
Yeah.
kids keep 100. She get aired out in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely defend myself if I was the man in that situation. Definitely, like, some therapy is needed. Like, and then the mother, it's one of those in a similar situation. It's very tragic because basically the person that gets hurt the most in that situation is the child.
Exactly.
Okay. But, and you know what? This is a great example of, you gotta be real careful about who you running up in raw. You know what I'm saying? Like, men be like, they quick to be a victim, but it's like nobody forced you to lay up with that woman who turned out to be a succubus.
Okay.
Who turned out to be mentally unstable.
Now, when you said
toxic.
Now I want to talk about when you said, because usually they don't want to destroy the child. When you talk about two emotionally bankrupt people. Now, for that father who has a wife and steps out on the wife with a mistress and has children and then don't want to be in their life. What's your thoughts on that?
Trifling. They trifling, and it's because what happened? Because I really believe the truth always comes out. So then you got this child with all this emotional baggage and trauma and issues, and then they become an adult, and they really, when it all comes out, they were a product of a hot mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got mama over there being toxic, talking negatively about, the father who was married. Like, ain't nobody tell her go sleep with a married man. And then you got the father who wasn't around or had one foot in, one foot out because he was married and he was trifling. He couldn't control himself, right? And so he didn't want to take full responsibility. So he just decided to do the whole passive, slow fade into the bushes. And that's how he chose to interact with that child. And again, the negative repercussions of two trifling people is hurting that child the most.
Now, what about the father who says he's separated or actually is separated and then decide to go back, but left children over here?
When you out here just dropping babies like Pikachu, it's still going to be a hot mess. You still making broken homes.
Now tell me.
Still making broken homes.
Now, as a wife, and you hear this information, do you shun those children? And you're separated. And then you guys get back together. And this happened during your separation.
Together.
Huh?
We said we wouldn't be getting back together. We're done, honey.
Okay.
Done. It's over.
Okay.
Take care of the babies. We already separated, and then you went out and made some babies while we were separated. Oh, we done. To me, that's the nails in the coffin. That's that sign from God that it's time to exit.
Okay.
God's giving you a sign that it's over. It's finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you were the wife of a guy who wasn't married and he got with somebody before you guys met and didn't know that was his child, and you found out about the child once y'all got married, do you accept the child?
I would accept the child. It was before y'all got involved. So I would accept the child. And I was talking to somebody, a relative of mine, and she was dating a dude who was uninvolved. And he was uninvolved because it was toxic with the mother. The mother kept him from the child, and they moved multiple states away. So they're making it very hard for him to be involved in the child's life. Wouldn't even let him speak to the child over the phone. Right? And so she told me that she actually regretted pushing him to try to connect with that particular child. Because it kind of just opened up a whole can of worms, and it was very messy and might have made things worse. So I would say if you're in a situation where you're dealing with another person, whether it's a male or a female, and there is some kind of like custodial conflict like that, sometimes, and as you're an outsider and you don't know the other parent, you don't know everything that happened, you don't know everything that transpired, it may be in the childress to leave everything the way it is. So I feel like it's very situational.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. I agree. I would, me personally, when you look at someone, if you have a female in your life and they're telling you, and this is for my fellas out there, and they're telling you that they're not accepting, that you ain't got to spend a night, they ain't got to spend a night all the time, the whole, all that. But if you have someone who does not allow you to spend time with your children, that's a problem.
Red flag.
And right, big one. And for those who don't deal with their children, you said emotionally bankrupt. I look a little deeper, and the reason I look a little deeper is because you have children all over, and not being involved in their life says a lot about you. What that says about you is that you don't love yourself, because you gotta know that is your blood running through their veins. And if you allow someone to make a decision on your blood, that's you, and it impacts it impacts you, since you're 50% of that person, that's the child, to neglect you, she's not the one for you. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's at. And even for my females, if you are with a fella who wants to abuse your child, that says a lot about you, because again, that is your blood running through those veins. And he's not just beating your son up, he's beating you up as well. And as a mother, a nurturer, and a carrier, we already hurt. So we all know, let somebody crazy say something to our child, we going ham. But the father being absent, we don't. What's wrong? You know what I mean? It's like, no. But the father that is present, let him go off on your child, we go ham too. Like, what's going on? And yes, different circumstances calls for different responses. Just as you, like the example that you use, sometimes it's best that the father is not in the life, because it could mess up the child's psyche. So if you know you got yourself a nut, ain't no sense in no other nuts coming off the tree. Let me fix this. You know what I mean? Let me do this, because just the same as adoption. You can take a child who was in a broken home and put them in a home, in a great environment, and rear that child to be a productive citizen in society. Some people don't feel that. You have people who feel like, oh, okay, well, they need to be, if it's a black child, they need to be with a black family. They just need to be with a loving family. That's it altogether, because we push that on. We push racism, prejudices onto the child. We project that. We tell them that's wrong. They don't know that at the beginning. We say, oh, no, you need to be with this family, not that family. Well, why? Why do I have to get the black Barbie with the nappy hair, and I'm dating myself again way back when? Why do I have to have that Barbie? I like this white Barbie because I can brush her hair. Well, she's not like you. You need this one. How come I can't have them all and we all just play together?
Right.
That's just my thing. I just believe in freedom of choice. I believe in people being allowed to be who they are. I believe in people, like I was saying, like the Misfits. We used to call them Misfits, but you see what they did with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They omitted that whole part. Remember the Misfits? Rudolph was in with the Misfits, the reindeer, because he had the red nose. No, remember they were called the Misfits. The toys. Yeah, the toys. They had a little thing. It's omitted now because they want to put everything all inclusive. But I think difference is good. Difference is good. If we all were the same, we'd be quite bored. I'd be bored out of my mind. Like I was talking about the podcast. If we all doing the same thing, you'd be like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, I need this vibe. Let me go ahead here. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that we need to allow people to be who they are, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, and accept them for who they are. And when I say accept them, I mean, you ain't got to invite me into dinner. If I know it's a racist and you got your little Confederate flag out there, I accept you for being that. And I'm not coming to your door knock, your door, knocking on your door for any assistance because you told me who you were. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And You can be that. Just don't come over here with all that. You know what I mean? You're not welcome here with all that. I'm sure you do what you want to do. But that's what I think. And I think that, like I was saying, normalizing difference now. That it's just like, okay, so the people that are the same, they looking different. And we care so much as Americans. We care so much about what other people think. And once we find ourselves, accept ourselves, and love ourselves, it'll be all good. Now, I will tell you this. I just read this. Just listen, anyway, I read this little part. Did you know that it's illegal to have pubic hairs in Japan? That's just something I just came across. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Yeah. How would they know?
Come over here with some booty shorts. You be seeing them in the beach looking real crazy. You know. I don't know, but yeah, you can't have pubic hairs over there. And I'm thinking, and I was like, yeah, why would you know? And it wasn't a fun fact, but I say fun fact. It was just there, and it was weird. It was like, why do I need to know that? But okay, useless knowledge. Yeah. And I just decided to say it. If you go to Japan, you better make sure you got a little Brazilian wax.
Okay.
Or keep your clothes. Look, be fully dressed, fully clothed, so that they don't know what's going on up underneath. All right. All right. The incredible wealth of knowledge. Amber, thank you for coming on. I truly appreciate you trying to shake it up. I was like, it changing a little bit because this whole day, we want everybody to have a bright, fun day. And I had Amber to come onto the show. So I truly, truly appreciate you and your opinion.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, I forgot. I'm very much disconnected from like the news and stuff because I feel like it's very negative. But yeah, you do need to guard your environment. You really do. It's
very, very important. Positive energy. What do you feel like doing? If it's a job and the job's getting on your nerves and they got negative energy, remove yourself from that environment. Stop the negativity. You can stop it and be like, I'm not interested. They got to find some other way. Now, if you want to come to me and we can talk intellectually and we can talk straight, it's up to you. But it better be positive. I'm like, it better be positive or I don't want no parts. All right. All right, lovely people, find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. And if you know somebody that is on drugs and they need help, feel free to call 1-800-662-4357. That's the help hotline. I'll put that phone number below because I want everybody to get help and be the best that they actually can be. Again, find you, embrace you. And most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people, Shop Talk every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You can catch me on Facebook Live, Be Inspired, and YouTube. Follow your girl on YouTube to catch all the Be Inspired. And so I can get paid. Like, I got to have like so many followers on YouTube. I'm just keeping it 100. You know what it is. And follow me on all socials if you feel as though that this show was helpful. Share alike, okay? Like, share, subscribe, comment. I always want to hear what you have to say on Shop Talk with Mel. Thank you.